Joining us now, Democratic Senator Mark Warner, chairman of the Intelligence Committee. Can we talk about that Washington Post reporting that a former deputy Palm Beach County sheriff went to Moscow and is working with Russian military intelligence to pump out deep fakes about Vice President Harris's campaign? Is that legal?
Well, if that individual is abroad, we don't have a very good ability to bring him back. But we've seen this time and again. Russia is clearly interfering on behalf of Trump. Iran seems to be interfering more against Harris. But our adversaries, Russia, China, Iran, they know it's easy and effective and cheap to do misinformation, disinformation. We recently saw the fake accusations against Governor Walz about some kind of assault he had taken place. Wasn't even a real person, but the actual person had been was AI manipulated. So we've gotten better at pushing back, but the bad guys have gotten better as well. And unfortunately, as we all know, Americans are a lot more willing to believe crazy conspiracy theories. Just because you see it on the internet doesn't mean it's true. But that is hard to get across, particularly when you've got Donald Trump himself putting out this kind of misinformation, when you've got one of the biggest social media platforms, X, Elon Musk, putting out misinformation, disinformation. And my concern is it's going to get worse in these last 11 days, particularly the last couple of days before the election, and then the few days after the election.
Is the goal for Russia or China as simple as wanting Donald Trump to win, or for Iran as simple as wanting Kamala Harris to win?
I think the goal is there may be a preferred candidate, but at the basic, particularly for all three of these nations, is to undermine Americans' faith in our democracy, to try to cause civil unrest and political and potentially actual violence. Think about the notion that if it's on election night, late that Tuesday night or early that Wednesday morning, something suddenly appears across all your social media feeds where it looks like an election official, which would be a deep fake put out by Russia supposedly destroying ballots. That could lead to violence in the streets. And what we're trying to do, I wish both campaigns would say to all their supporters, take a deep breath. And if you actually see something on the internet about change in voting terms, don't believe it. Call your local election officials. I've been pressing the Intel community, and they're getting better. When we see this kind of intervention, the attack against Governor Walz was an example. Declassify that information as quickly as possible to show the American people that this is a lie and a misinformation. But it's going to be a wild, from the Intel side and the misinformation side, it's going to be a wild next couple of weeks.
You're talking about, waking up on election day and getting misinformation on a social media feed. Congress is also very concerned about TikTok and the Chinese side of it. So concerned that they're being forced to divest if they want to continue operating in this country. Are you worried? Have you seen any indication that TikTok might put something out there that's not true? There might be a coordinated effort behind the scenes around or on election day?
I think there's a lot of creativity on TikTok, but I was one of the leaders that say, hey, at the end of the day, TikTok, owned by ByteDance, ultimately is controlled by the Communist Party of China. That's Chinese law. And we think it ought to be sold as a company that's not Chinese controlled. And while we've not seen a sophisticated effort yet on TikTok, the idea of the ability of the Communist Party to slightly switch the algorithms, the genius of TikTok is you don't choose what you see, it chooses for you. And if you could slightly twist that algorithm for propaganda purposes, it is a possibility. And frankly, TikTok, in terms of trying to work with the government on this misinformation, disinformation, they and X are two of the entities that are least involved in our effort. But let me also be clear, every one of the social media companies, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they have all cut back on their own content moderation efforts from where we were in 2020, because I'm disappointed in that, but it's not just here in America, it's around the world.
If these countries that are getting into our elections and trying to push out lies, want to destabilize us, want to undermine our confidence in democracy with the ultimate goal of maybe a global realignment or a lessening of our influence around the world, I wonder what that means for what you're seeing in that light, what that means for what you're seeing in Ukraine and Russia, with North Korea now sending Russia troops. Do you see an attempt at a realignment?
Well, listen, clearly China, Russia, Iran, in North Korea, whether we want to call them an axis or an alliance, they want to undermine democratic institutions, not just in America and across the world. Although I would point out, the intel community revealed about 3,000 North Korean troops have moved into Russia. They're still in eastern Russia at this point. It's pretty pathetic if Russia, which used to be a real superpower, has to turn to North Korea for military assistance in terms of troops. It shows that the Ukrainians, which are under huge assault by the Russians, obviously, but they have been, successful at cutting back on Russia's military might. We're going to follow that. But of course, all these nations would rather not have an alliance of democracies, not just U.S. and NATO, but, we've got good democratic alliances in India, in South Korea, in Japan, Australia. And the bad guys would like to see that balance of power change. And that's why it's so important at the end of the day. We should argue like mad. We've got a right to first Americans to say crazy things if we want to. But we ought to argue like mad about our political choices. But we should all be offended, no matter who you support for president, when you see foreign spy services try to interfere in our elections. And I just wish there would be greater concern. Frankly, I wish there would be even greater concern from some of the major media outlets like the Washington Post and Fox News, who literally are having their sites manipulated by fake Russian sites that appear like the Post and Fox News, yet the media companies themselves seem to say, well, that's just the way life is these days. That's an unsettling fact of life.